Welcome to the first in a series of broadcasts Thru will be presenting over the next 6 months. These presentations will be hosted by Thru's executive, technology, and customer support leadership. Topics discussed in webcasts will focus on current and future challenges around managing file transfer. Thomas Skybakmoen, VP of Marketing and Product Strategy, is joined by Lee Harrison, Thru's CEO, to discuss trends in the managed file transfer market. This presentation was originally aired Thursday, September 8, 2011.
Well, our next trend we see is consolidation in MFT, and that means we're combining two or more products. The first factor in consolidation is cost. Certainly in this economic environment, cutting cost is a mandate that most executives are faced with every day. We see that the price points for software have gone down over years, but the volume of software purchases has gone up by even more because we're using technology to actually solve efficiency problems today. But one thing we know is very clear, and having been an IT executive for many, many years myself, when you're purchasing anything, if you can purchase in volume, you can lower the cost points because the vendor then sees you as a big volume purchase, and we all know that you'll get a big discount when you do that. So there's a good reason to consolidate any software application. We see that as well in MFT because you can consolidate the number of licenses, the support contracts, and get a handle on that across the board.
The one point that was a major selling factor for IT of standardizing all their IT around managed file transfer. I've seen examples of organizations using hundreds of scripts and solutions, be that custom-made FTP solutions, be that FTP solutions with scripts and add-ons, plugins, and other file movement technologies as well. I've seen BitTorrent even being used as a publishing tool for files within an organization and trying to build that from scratch. And it's not scalable. It's not necessarily enterprise ready.
Certainly not. Well, certainly ease of use is part of standardization, and ease of use is paramount to adoption. And if you don't have adoption, there's no reason to buy the product. We've moved away from command line. Things are always GUI driven. This is true of administrative portals as well as the consumers of it, the users of the IT product, whatever it is. And this is certainly true of MFT as much as any other product. And with the products that are out there today, with MFT versus FTP, everything is GUI driven.
Another point here is the consolidated reporting, which I've alluded to. It's offering the businesses a way to have an end-to-end control of all their file transfer, be that from that mainframe out to a distributed environment, going out to a business partner, coming back into the business, having the call center rep being able to pull up reports and documentation when let's say a banking customer calls in or someone wondering where their loan application is as part of the process. So it gives some good benefits in terms of an audit trail perspective as well, but there are clear benefits to roll this reporting into existing governance frameworks, such as an integration competency center and ICC as one.
We do have a question here from one of our audience. Ease of use and standardization, does that also help us train our users easier, and does that roll up into cost as well?
Yes, it does. I would say that some of the MFT solutions out there today are very much GUI driven. They're web interfaces. There doesn't need to be an IT individual logging on to, let's say, a Windows or Unix server to administer and run the let's say, setup of users, run that reports, and even sometimes setting up the file transfer can be done through a web interface by the business users.
We see a very disturbing trend in a lot of new customers, rogue file transfer projects, business units standing up FTP servers without IT support or knowledge. This is a terrible trend. The need for speed and the pressure to come in on time on projects drive business units to take enormous risk and shortcuts. This is understandable in this very competitive environment we find ourselves in today. One of the clear answers for this behavior is MFT consolidation. It makes sense. Given the choice on doing it on their own or bringing IT in to provision something that's timely, that's supported by IT, I think business units will choose to insource to IT on these projects every time, given the ability to be able to deploy them quickly. And then the governance issue behind these road projects is completely eliminated.
One of the reasons as well is a lot of M&A that has taken place over the last 10 years, where organizations focus on what they see as the major problem at hand, which is a CRM system, ERP system. Organizations are really waking up to the fact that they need to do something, be that SOA, be that master data management, be that enterprise architecture, to consolidate this. And managed file transfer then tends to take a part in that process. So there needs to be planning and governance to start with, rather than we're just going to replace this one tool. So MFT should be seen as part of those efforts and not something that needs to be fixed after the fact. We have another point here as well, the globalization. It often meant that there were different tools and applications being used for different regions, be that laws, regulations, language, to mention a few, that really was driving this. To really be efficient in a global economy, I mean, SLAs between geographical regions must be the same. So the same just-in-time manufacturing means that you have to source your manufacturing to anywhere, right? You must beat the sun in a 724 world. Example could be software written in California being distributed to China, but it must be supported by the same help desk worldwide, or the same SLA would apply. You're not going to hit your customers because they're based in a different country. You're not going to treat them differently.
Well, if you think about how the internet has made the world so small that you can't use the excuse anymore that the file was too big to get there in time for the guys on the other side of the planet to actually use it or do whatever services they are on that file. When BPO and things like that are globalizing every day, enormous amounts of data has to get from the U.S. to China, from China back to Europe, and this spin on the globe is going on all the time.
Yeah.
It's just the way we live today.
Well, the last point here is SOA, which is another reason why organizations consolidate MFT solutions, because more and more MFT solutions now come with SOAP and REST interfaces to, for instance, do a web service call to an ESB. Other functions are integrations with a service registry, which can provide a real-time view of the network as it changes over time, automatically discovering agent names and file system structures that are regularly published into a service registry. They can then be queried and used at runtime by applications issuing the file transfer commands, which is also why more and more MFT vendors are offering extensive APIs as part of their portfolio for that type of integration.
Well, this SOA discussion actually logically leads to our next topic around managed file transfer, and that's the deployment in the cloud.
There are always changing demands. We see businesses come in with one demand one day and it changes to the next. It might be publishing more volume of file. It might be bringing on more business partners. So being able to have an instant on where automatic hardware and software provisioning is taking place to be able to scale to new demands, be that, for instance, a retailer doing an online sale and needs to send out more purchase orders or needs to communicate with their distributors, there is obviously an increase in load.
Well, we've been trained by the internet and by cloud-based services today to actually expect everything to be instant on, one, but also to be massively scalable, to never fail. So if I need more storage in my MFT solution, it absolutely, in a cloud-based MFT, it has to scale instantaneously and it's transparent to me. I don't see that happening, but it is happening. And more storage means more bandwidth. I can't hit the end stop on the bandwidth. It has to scale to the size that I need. You may have a peak load at 5 p.m. on a Friday that's 20 times what you have at 6 a.m. on Tuesday morning. And the storage and the bandwidth go right together, hand in hand, and having to be scaled and completely transparent to the user. Every time you need to put something new on, it's there.
Yeah.
And that gives you the promise of the cloud, which is the ROI by the shared tenancy, so that if you're not using this part of the service, you're not paying for it.
think in the cloud, you get the one platform, the multi-tenant, the scalable solution that can scale both horizontally and vertically. So it means that there's no obsolescence. Every customer gets the same software. There are not multiple versions running on different platforms with different code base and so forth.
And again, I point this back to the promise of the cloud. You get those things, you expect those things. You don't, because it's a stateless environment, the web. When the updates come, it's transparent to you. You have it in the next refresh, which is quite cool, watching that happen. The other thing that you get with the cloud that you also expect and demand is 7x24, 365 support and 100% uptime.
The next topic we have is the compliance efforts, which I would say MFT is definitely enabling. We have seen that compliance has been a major driving factor for the MFT market since the first MFT solutions came out. But it's only really now we're starting to see organizations taking this really seriously. There are multiple laws and regulations in the US, but I want to highlight one that is out of the UK, where it's basically called the Data Protection Act of 1998. And following that trend and having lived in the UK for almost 6 years before moving to the States, there were several articles about companies in the UK that were facing fines up to £500,000 for breaching data law protection. So
amazing.
Even a US company sending data to the UK have to be aware of these laws and regulations, because they might end up in breaking some of these local laws. And Germany as well is one country where they're very strict on certain information not leaving the country, and there's some segregation of data as well that customers need to pay attention to.
Regulation is a big topic always, but in the U.S., things like Graham-Leach-Bliley Act and the HIPAA Act, we're all familiar with HIPAA and privacy and healthcare, and the Sarbanes-Oxley Health Act, and how we have to maintain controls and privacy up and down, how financial information is gathered and distributed and sequestered inside the organization before public company can report what they're doing. So the fines can be levied by multiple regulating agencies at the same time, so you don't know where it's going to come from. So it's better to be due diligent up front, have these processes in place, and managed file transfer can certainly help you with all of those issues right out of the box.
The visibility, which really enables and allows organizations to examine existing file transfers, be that processes, be that transactions, be that systems, and the people who interact with those messages and files. The next point is monitoring, which enables the tracking of files and transactions as part of a larger governance initiative. Security, which integrates into existing solutions, be that B2B, A2A, middleware, to enable full governance to address risk, identity, access, as well as authentication issues. Reporting and auditing enables companies to compile and assemble data related to all aspects of the file transfer. The adaptability provides companies with the opportunity to consist with existing as well as new systems and infrastructure. So there's a plug and play built in, be that an API, be that scripts, be that integration methods. Provisioning, which enables companies to rapidly onboard systems, such as being able to set usernames and passwords within files that they can distribute, being able to provision users by tying into AD and LDAP, to mention a few. Workflow and automation enables companies to design, test, and execute the process associated with file transfers.
Makes perfect sense, and all those points are very important. We're sort of out of time for today, so Thomas, thanks. That's a very interesting discussion. I hope you'll come back and do this again with me soon.
Yeah, love to.
We do have a question from the audience. Does Thru have operations in the UK? Yes,
that we do.
Thank you for participating. If you have any questions or want to speak to us, please call 1-800-871-9316 or email us at info@thruinc.com.